I'm going to talk briefly about the power of leveraging intense emotions. We all experience emotions. We are human beings. It is just part of this experience that we're having. A lot of people have made the mistake of trying to avoid all negative feelings. So they go into repression. The feelings don't actually go away. The limiting beliefs that they have that are triggering those negative feelings do not go away. They're simply repressing. And we've talked about that in some of our releasing videos and processes. So that becomes very toxic. It creates negative manifestations. It tends to result in people having an outburst of negative emotion and feeling like they don't have control over their emotions. Because essentially, what happens is if you repress, at some point, your system just simply cannot take anymore. And that's when people will have what we would say is an irrational response. So they have irrational anger, they have irrational sadness. Now, here is what I want you to understand. It is important to be positive. It is an important element of creating a life that you truly love. If you're walking around feeling negative emotion all the time, you're just simply not creating a life that you love. But if something happens and you become acutely aware of strong negative emotion, perhaps you've been tolerating something for a very long time and you've reached that sort of boiling point. You've reached the point where now it's starting to become bigger than you can repress anymore. So let's say you have a lot of anger. Rather than being afraid of the anger, rather than trying to talk yourself out of it, remember, we want to get away from repressing. We want to be properly releasing. But you can channel the intensity of that emotion and use that to activate transformation in your life. Same with very, very heavy, deep emotions like depression or sadness. You can use that intensity as a catalyst for creating change in your life. You just have to channel it properly. Okay. So that doesn't mean holding on to the anger for a long period of time. It means identifying this is not acceptable to me. And how can I focus now with this intensity? How can I focus on the change that I know I want or need to make in my life? And so instead of trying to push away the anger, trying to push away the sadness, we're going to channel it. And this is very easy to do. You've done it at other points in your life automatically. And now I just want you to be more mindful, more aware that when you experience this, that you can use this energy to your advantage. You're feeling it anyway. Let's channel it, focus it, and then we are able to naturally sort of release, diffuse, let it go. We want this to be a catalyzing opportunity for empowerment rather than causing you to spiral further into negativity, into disempowerment, into whatever the old pattern is that has caused this to begin with. So I want you to think back to a time in your life where maybe enough was enough. You had enough. You got so angry, so fed up with your situation that you decided, key word here, you decided you were going to change and you didn't know how. You did not know how. This is another important element. So I'm reinforcing a couple of key elements here. One is you got so angry that you became so focused that you essentially pushed yourself energetically to a new place within yourself. and you decided, important word. You didn't half-ass decide. You didn't sort of, oh, I wish things would change. I'm not talking about the wishy-washy way that you were up to that point. We're talking about you getting so angry that you pushed yourself past that sort of wishy-washy, wishing things would change. Maybe I'll try, maybe I'll get discouraged and give up cycle that is so common. You pushed yourself beyond that with the anger, with the frustration. You got to that point within yourself where you said, enough is enough. And whether you said those words with intention or that just was sort of the energy associated with what you were experiencing, you pushed yourself to the decision point where it's no longer acceptable to be in that sort of wishy-washy, disempowered state anymore. And when you did that, you basically germinated that desire, that seed, that desire for change. Okay, so it was always inside of you. That seed, that desire to change this part of your life was already inside of you, probably for a very long time. But because you reached that sort of critical energy point and you projected all of that intensity of energy into enough is enough, this has to change, I don't know how, but I'm going to change, you germinated that seed. And while the manifestation may not have been instantaneous, in fact, very likely it was not an instantaneous remission of whatever your problem was, it was the catalyzing moment. It was the starting point, okay? So from that point forward, you had a different mindset. You had a different energy, a different intensity. Notice that the anger, that intensity of emotion subsided after that experience. So you weren't going through life, pushing through your life basically with all of that negative energy. That energy dissipated, that subsided, but that focus that allowed you to get to the decision point was the catalyzing moment for that transformation in your life. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to reflect on this. I'm going to ask you to think about this. I'm going to ask you to be mindful about these different emotions that you're experiencing and be mindful. Have you reached a point within yourself where enough is enough? Take that anger that you're feeling, that frustration, that deep sadness, and channel it into, this is no longer acceptable to me. I deserve better. And when you do that, and you really do that, not from a victim-y place, we're not talking about, I deserve better, this isn't fair type of energy. We're saying, F this, I'm done dealing with this. This is no longer acceptable. Something is going to change. It has to change. That type of energy, very different than the victim-y sort of energy. The victim-y energy does not inspire transformation, okay? So make sure that you're being very mindful. What are you projecting? What energy are you in, okay? And we want to embrace that intensity. I want you to recognize that this is an opportunity for transformation. And when you focus it properly into the transformation that you truly desire, that you know within your heart you deserve, you're worthy of, then you are activating that seed of desire so it can become a manifestation and actualization in your life. You will experience that desired change. It may unfold over a period of time, but that is the activating moment, okay? And I'm saying this because I want you to understand that sometimes it can be beneficial to experience those negative emotions, okay? That we don't have to fear them. We don't have to feel guilty about feeling angry. All of those things keep us in repression instead of properly channeling our energy. And notice I didn't say anything about going out and ranting and raving and creating all sorts of drama. This is an internal process that takes place. It does not have to go on for a very long period of time. In fact, usually it's in a very, very short pocket of time. you have this awareness, you focus this energy, and then you get on with your life. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you in another video.